You are listening to Unleashed Now, the enterprise tech podcast generated entirely by AI. In this episode, we unleash into the $6 billion funding secured by Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company, XAI.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So today we're going to be digging into Elon Musk's XAI and all the big plans they have over in the AI world.
Sounds interesting.
It is. We're going to be looking at a really fascinating TechCrunch article that just came out.
Oh, cool.
And one of the things that just jumps right out at you is this recent funding round. They got a $6 billion investment.
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
It is. I mean, with that, they're up to like $12 billion in total funding. So, it makes you wonder, like, what is it about this company?
Right. Like, what's so special about them that they can just get money thrown at them like that?
Exactly. The article mentions that there was a minimum investment of, are you ready for this? Over $77,000.
Wow. That's more than I make in a year.
Right. And 97 investors jumped in on that.
97.
Yeah. So what is it about XAI? I mean, obviously there's the Elon Musk factor.
Right. It's got that Midas touch, right? Everything he touches turns to gold, it seems like.
Right. He's had success with Tesla and SpaceX.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's part of it, right? But there's also got to be more.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What do you think it is? What's drawing people to XAI?
Well, I think part of it is definitely the connection to X, Twitter.
Oh, interesting. So how does that play in?
Well, the article kind of hints that some of the investors in like Musk's Twitter acquisition were offered XAI shares.
Oh, so maybe they're hoping to kind of combine those two?
Yeah, leverage the data from Twitter.
Yeah.
That's a goldmine of information.
Yeah. So maybe that's part of it. But what about the technology itself? Like, what's XAI actually bringing to the table that's getting everyone so excited?
Yeah, so their flagship AI model is called Grok, and this is the one that's already being integrated into X. And it's got a totally different approach. It's actually kind of fascinating.
Really? In what way?
Well, Musk calls it Rebellious. He says it's designed to answer all the kind of like spicy questions that other AIs kind of shy away from.
Oh, okay. Now I'm curious. So what does a rebellious AI look like in practice?
Well, basically where other AIs might give you these safe, neutral answers, Grok's designed to push the boundaries. It'll actually dive into potentially controversial topics.
Wow. So is it giving like opinionated answers?
It can get pretty opinionated, yeah. And it's even programmed to use profanity, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Is that like to get attention or?
I think it's partly for humor, to make it feel more unconventional.
So they're going for like personality.
Exactly. Like a more engaging, even provocative AI personality.
But that could be a little risky, right? I mean, imagine if it goes off the rails on some sensitive topic.
Well, for sure. That's a valid concern. There's a fine line between being rebellious and being reckless.
Right, right.
And the article did mention there are some limitations with Grok right now, especially with stuff like summarizing news accurately. And there's the potential for bias, which is something to watch as it keeps developing.
For sure, yeah. And it sounds like they're really pushing to expand Grok's role on X, too. The article mentioned everything from generating images to analyzing them to summarizing news and trends. It seems like a lot.
Yeah, it is. And there are even more possibilities they hinted at. Think about the basic stuff that X does. Search, user profiles, post analytics, even things like reply settings.
Oh, wow. So it could really impact all of that.
Exactly. Just imagine like a search function powered by Grok. It could understand your queries way better than a regular search engine because it could get the nuance and context. Or imagine Grok helping you write the perfect bio for your profile. It could tailor it to your interests and what you want to achieve.
That's wild. It sounds like they're going head to head with the big players in the field. Like, what about ChatGPT? Are they trying to compete with that?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a full-on AI arms race, right? Yeah. XAI just launched its own API, so developers can start integrating Grok into their own apps. And they're planning to release a standalone app, too, which would put them in direct competition with ChatGPT. And then, on top of that, there's the lawsuit.
Oh, right, the lawsuit. I'd almost forgotten about that. Didn't Musk sue OpenAI and Microsoft or something?
Yeah, he did. He's claiming they're trying to, stifle the competition in the AI world.
Really? How so?
Well, he says they tried to block funding for XAI. Like, they were basically trying to shut them down.
Wow. And what's his argument against them?
He's basically saying that all that data from X gives XAI this huge advantage, and that these other companies are just trying to protect their own dominance by cutting off resources.
That's interesting. And didn't X also just change its privacy policy to let XAI train its models on user posts?
Yeah, that's right. Which could give them a serious edge data-wise.
Yeah.
But it also raises some questions about, user privacy and stuff like that.
For sure. So it sounds like there's a lot of potential with XAI, but also some potential risks.
Definitely. It's a double-edged sword for sure. Access to all that data could make Grok really powerful, but they have a responsibility to use it ethically.
Right. And on top of all of that, it sounds like Musk has this even bigger vision where like all of his companies, Tesla, SpaceX, even Starlink would feed data into XAI, and then XAI would use that data to make their technologies even better.
Exactly, like a fully interconnected ecosystem.
Wow. That sounds pretty ambitious. But is it realistic?
It's definitely ambitious,
Yeah.
but think about the possibilities. Like, Grok could power the customer support for Starlink, or it could contribute to research and development at Tesla. The potential for synergy between all these companies is huge.
That's amazing. But are there any downsides to this approach?
While some Tesla shareholders aren't too happy about it, they've actually filed a lawsuit against Musk.
Really? What's their concern?
They think he's diverting resources and talent away from Tesla to focus on XAI, which they see as competition. They're worried about conflicts of interest and whether this focus on AI could actually hurt Tesla in the long run.
So even with all the investment in groundbreaking technology, there are still doubts and potential pitfalls.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's kind of the nature of innovation, right? It's rarely a smooth ride.
Right.
But the fact that XAI is already bringing in $100 million a year in revenue
Wow.
and has grown from 12 employees to over 100 in just a year, that says something about their momentum.
And didn't they take over OpenAI's old offices too?
They did. They're not just aiming to compete, they're aiming to dominate.
That's pretty bold. But to really get the full picture of their ambition, we need to talk about their infrastructure, specifically their data center in Memphis. And that, my friend, is a whole other story.
Oh, yeah, that's a wild one.
Okay, so a data center, that's a whole other story. I'm intrigued. What's so special about this Memphis facility?
Well, for one, it shows just how fast XAI is moving, how ambitious they are. I mean, they built this entire massive data center in only 122 days.
Wait, 122 days?
Yeah, like just about 4 months. And it's packed. I mean, packed with 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs.
100,000 GPUs. That's insane. What does that what does that mean for Grok, having that much power behind it?
It basically means they can train Grok on way bigger, more complex data sets, which is key if they want to make it more accurate, more capable.
So it's like giving it a super brain.
Basically. But, building and running a place like that, it takes a ton of energy.
Yeah, that makes sense. So have they said anything about where that energy is coming from? Like, are they doing anything sustainable?
Well, there's a bit of a twist there. Right now, they're actually using portable diesel generators to power part of the facility.
Diesel generators? Really?
That's a temporary thing.
Yeah.
But it does show how much they're prioritizing speed and scale, even if it means cutting some corners for now.
So they're going all in on getting this thing up and running quickly. But long term, they can't keep using diesel generators, right?
No, definitely not. They've already announced plans to upgrade the facility, and they made a deal with the local power authority to get an extra 150 megawatts of power.
150 megawatts. Isn't that like a crazy amount of power?
It is. Think about it. That's enough to power like 100,000 homes.
Wow. I bet the locals had something to say about that. Like, were there any concerns about the environmental impact?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Some people are worried about what it'll do to the power grid and what it means for air quality in the area. It's a tough situation, trying to balance, progress with protecting the environment.
For sure. It sounds like XAI's got a lot to figure out as they grow. Did they make any, concessions to get that power increase?
They did, actually. As part of the deal, they promised to invest in initiatives to improve the city's water quality.
Yeah.
And they're offering discounted Tesla Powerwall batteries to people living nearby.
So they're trying to give back to the community.
Yeah, trying to make it a win-win situation.
That makes sense. Okay, so they've got the funding, the technology, the infrastructure, and the ambition. What's next for XAI? What's the plan from here?
Well, they're not showing any signs of slowing down. The article mentions they're planning to raise even more money next year to keep growing and expanding.
Wow, more money. But haven't they already raised billions?
Yeah, but it seems like everyone in the AI world is on a fundraising spree right now. Like, OpenAI just got a $6.6 billion investment.
Seriously, $6.6 billion. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're up to almost $18 billion in funding now.
Yeah.
And Anthropic's not far behind. They just raised $4 billion from Amazon, so they're at like $13.7 billion total.
That's insane. It's like everyone's betting big on AI right now. It makes you wonder where all this is headed.
Right, like with all these companies racing to develop the most advanced AI, what does that mean for the future?
Yeah, what does it mean for everyone listening? What happens as these super powerful AIs become more and more a part of our lives?
It's a big question. And it means we need to stay informed, stay engaged. This isn't something that's just happening to us. It's something we're all shaping, whether we realize it or not.
I like that we have a role to play in this, that it's not all just, predetermined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And part of that means staying curious, asking questions, looking at different perspectives.
Well said. And I think we've definitely covered a lot of ground today in our deep dive into Elon Musk's XAI.
Yeah.
From their kind of rebellious AI Grok to, just all this growth and the crazy plans they have. They're really shaking things up. But beyond all the hype, what's the main takeaway for our listeners here? What do you think?
Well, the big thing to remember is AI is changing so fast. We're seeing tons of money going into it, all this competition, and these crazy technologies popping up all the time. It's not just a tech thing anymore. It's going to affect everyone.
So it's not just about, the tech stuff, like how Grok works or how much money they're raising. It's about what it all means for, the world.
Right, exactly. We got to be thinking about the good and the bad, the ethics of it all, and how it'll change society. This is happening now. It's not sci-fi anymore.
And how can people stay informed? What should they be doing to keep up with all this and be part of the conversation?
Well, there's a lot of good stuff out there, like online. Check out places like TechCrunch, MIT Technology Review, Wired. They've got good articles on AI. And there's some great podcasts and documentaries, too, that go deep on specific AI things like the history of it or what the future might hold.
How cool. And what about getting involved more directly? Are there ways our listeners can help shape how AI develops?
Yeah, for sure. Go to some AI meetups or conferences, join online discussions and forums, support groups that are pushing for responsible AI development. Even just talking to your friends and family about it can help. Raise awareness and get people thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a reminder that we're not just sitting back and watching this happen. We can actually have a say in how it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe someone listening will be inspired to create the next big AI thing or help figure out some of these ethical issues. There's so much potential out there.
That's awesome. Well, I think it's safe to say we've learned a ton in this deep dive into XAI and the world of AI in general.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating look into where things are headed.
For sure. Big thanks to you for walking us through all this. It's been really eye-opening.
Happy to do it. It's always fun to explore these topics with people who are curious.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, keep learning, keep asking questions, and stay engaged. The future of AI is up to all of us.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please share and follow us on social media. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to be the first to listen to our next episode.